to introduce the HDF-8 project activities. We begin first with densely populated Dhaka, Bangladesh. Its high level of urbanization and ever-growing demand for taller and densely built adequate living space perhaps matches the pace with which disaster risk is increasing, a situation that population growth is only exacerbating. Here we were presented with a photo of a building that spontaneously collapsed. Adequate is not enough when considering the lives of families, and both men and women's awareness and community and expert input are needed to avoid needless loss of life. As part of our capacity building and awareness raising efforts, masons were selected from various wards to undergo practical training for affordable and reasonable building reinforcement. The resulting shake table demonstration was visually effective and simplified a very critical and seemingly complex message. Accompanying workshop and training emphasized the linkage between technical and day-to-day issues and the necessity for both women and men to be equally aware of disaster management needs and participate in reducing risk. In Nepal, the HDF-8 project team cooperated with 5 community learning centers, or CLCs, to conduct training and awareness-raising exercises. CLCs were originally set up by UNESCO as alternative education centers and function as training facilities and centers of information dissemination for community residents, making it an ideal partner for disaster management training. Aside from practical training such as first aid, town watching and the drafting of hazard maps were conducted. High-risk buildings and paths were identified, as well as critical facilities such as wells, hospitals, and supply vendors. Here, elders of the community recount their experiences in a previous earthquake that struck the region many decades ago. Such invaluable primary sources help convey past experiences and lessons for effective disaster management by present and future generations. Accompanying the hazard mapping was the Capacity and Vulnerability Assessment Exercise, or CVA, through which participating community members conducted a thorough discussion on current risks and necessary or available solutions for disaster management. Final presentations were then given on discussion results and hazard map drafts.
भनिराख्नु पर्दैन होला है ठिकै छ यस्तो हामीले इन्डेक्स बनाइदिएका छौं यो विभिन्न ठाउँहरुमा चाहिँ अब इन्डेक्स.
These were then submitted to and reviewed by experts, who in turn converted their preliminary hazard maps into digitized user-friendly format, which were then enlarged and installed in participating communities, along with additional illustrated CBDM advice. In Matara, Sri Lanka, a very creative cooperation was arranged between the Pratana Child Club, women from Talala and Devinawara, and the Colombo-based community-based organization, CBO. Here too were capacity and vulnerability assessment exercises conducted, yielding very interesting discussion on caste relations, social problems, and cooperation for disaster management. The delivery of the presentation, however, was not limited to the conventional style. With the help of the CBO, who themselves were former low-income city dwellers that developed this ingenious way of awareness raising, final presentations were presented in original plays, the scripts based on previous discussion. The CBO had realized that to disseminate information, one must speak the language of the people, and that the information must be easily accessible and understandable, leading to the true ownership of knowledge and capacity, and thereby transcending boundaries of caste, race, and gender, and uniting us all for a safe and sustainable community.